A UK regulator has asked crypto firms and banks to come together to discuss UK debanking. And so in this video, we're going to be looking at the FCA's report on debanking. And this is, of course, following allegations from broadcaster Nigel Farage, in where he says and states that his bank account was closed due to his political views. Today's episode is sponsored by Cake Wallet, where you can send, receive, and even exchange your crypto right from within the wallet. Cake Wallet is open source and non-custodial, so you control your own private keys. Available today on iOS, macOS, Android, and Linux. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the latest episode of Enter Crypto, where every single day I keep you informed and fully up to date on all things happening in the cryptoverse. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, then like, subscribe and click on the notifications bell so that you don't miss out on any future updates. Now, today we're going to be talking about the UK's regulator, the FCA, and how they have tried pushing crypto companies and crypto firms and banks, this is the private banks, not the central bank, together in order to discuss what's been going on recently with big public figures like Nigel Farage, and it's basically the whole UK debanking scandal. So as always, guys, let's just quickly read through the article and then we'll comment and remark after. The UK's Financial Conduct Authority, or the FCA, says it has facilitated discussions between banks and crypto firms that have been struggling to access banking services in a controversial Tuesday report addressing reasons for debanking in the country. The report, which follows allegations from broadcaster and former politician Nigel Farage that his bank account was shuttered over his political views, said the most common reported reasons for personal and business account applications being declined, suspended or terminated were financial crime suspicions identified, due diligence concerns, and inactive or dormant accounts. Some crypto firms have been struggling to open a bank account in the UK, and companies like NatWest have said they won't open bank accounts for crypto firms. The FCA report, which compiled data from 34 credit institutions and payment firms, said that crypto was among the industries that some payment account providers did not give banking access to. Although it has limited time to dedicate to businesses obtaining bank accounts, the FCA said it has taken steps where it can to influence decisions to ensure market integrity. Dialogue between crypto firms and banks can help ensure a fair and balanced approach is taken, clarify approaches and the reasons behind decisions taken, and explore appropriate ways of mitigating concerns and potential risks, the report said. Multiple media outlets reported on Monday that the FCA report was going to say it found no evidence that banks closed accounts over customers' political stances, with Farage calling the report total nonsense. Given the limitations of the data, we have not been able to draw detailed conclusions on the types of personal or business customers affected by suspicions, terminations and declines, the report said, adding that the cases flagged were where the expression of political or any other opinion may have been a factor in account closure didn't pan out and were instead mostly due to customer behaviour, including racism. What we expect and what the regulations expect to adhere to are a risk-based approach on taking on customers, not a broad brush approach, Imad Al-Adhal, who is the director at the FCA, said in a briefing held on Tuesday. Now, to me, this is a very strange position to take up for the FCA, although I think I know and understand why they've done this. But to say that there was no other reason other than that he was racist is a bit strange, because actually Nigel Farage did a subject access request and forced the bank to basically hand over all the information that the bank held on him, and that included any sort of correspondence between colleagues and between bank employees, that basically mentioned any time that it mentioned his name, that he had to be given access to that information. So he could know what the information the bank was held on him and how they'd discussed and why they'd closed his account, and found out that he'd been discussed having links to Russia and loads of stuff, and that he was just not a good candidate. Lots and lots of things, and you can go through the report yourself, that were nothing to do with racism. But Nigel Farage is a very loud kind of person when it comes to the media, and he's very anti-establishment. And he's kind of lit a bit of a touch paper here in terms of setting kind of a bit of a wildfire. And he's ignited something, I think, that in the British people that everybody's known but felt powerless to do, which is that basically the banks run everything. Everybody knows this. It doesn't matter if you're a millionaire or if you brought up in a council estate in the UK and from the working class, from the poorest people. everybody seems to know and has always known that the banks run everything, and there's really nothing anyone can do about it except just accept it. And social media has given everybody, like normal people like me, just single individual citizens and people and residents, a voice. You can become popular on YouTube without a media company behind you, without an editor, without teams and producers and looking for investment and all that type of thing. You can just literally just go on your iPhone, set it up like I do, and then start making videos. And this is not how it used to be. The media used to run everything along with the banks, and the media certainly ran the narrative, and they still do to a great degree. But we've got a lot more people questioning the media narrative now. And Nigel Farage is really one of those loudmouths that questions almost every single narrative that the mainstream media puts out. But I think the FCA are really more worried that we might see sort of a collapse of the banking system if they acknowledge that almost any aspect of Nigel Farage's argument was valid. And so it's really it's really in their interest to say, oh, there's no problem with the banking system because they regulate it, If they say that there's been a massive failure within the banking system, and there has been over a long period of time, then they were supposed to be regulating it. So it's not in their interest to highlight any sort of systemic mistakes like that. Otherwise, they look like they haven't been doing their job properly over, a large period of time. And so it's just my opinion, and that's my suspicion with them, and I think that's why they've taken up this, in my opinion, untenable position. And whether you like Nigel Farage or don't like him or agree with his political views, this channel's not about that anyway, but it's just, he is a loud person, and it's very unusual that loud people, we've seen it recently, single people like this seem to get a lot of pressure, and they seem to be, we've got this culture, this sort of cancel culture, especially on the internet, and they've been cancelling people on, whether it be Twitter or YouTube or other things like that. They've been cancelling people, and it just seems to have overstepped a line now where they're cancelling people's bank accounts because of opinions, and people are just not happy about that. And I think his message seems to be getting some momentum. But it's a really interesting article, and it'll be even more interesting to see how it plays out and what's going forward. I've always said, and I always think that the bank's days are numbered, especially because of crypto, if not only because of crypto. But they just have a bad business model where they just make an absolute killing out of us. They make loads of money out of us and take risks with our money when we deposit it in the bank, and they'll make massive profits, give their board of directors or executives massive bonuses, even when the business has not met its targets, and even when we've had like collapses and closures. And instead of, when we have a recession, or instead of letting the business fail, which it should do because it's a bad business, we have this saying in the UK, too big to fail. And so the government comes along, bails them out, and so that bad business then continues because it's been bailed out by the government. And what should have happened is it should have died, and we would have had a better business come along and replace it. So anyway, that's what I've got for you today, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, as always. Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe if you found some value from this video, and I'll see you all tomorrow.